Do you feel like your life is going in circles? That you keep repeating the same patterns, attracting the same narcissistic, abusive partners, even narcissistic, abusive friends, family members? Are you surrounded by toxic energy? Are you going through pain and trauma over and over again, feeling like this is what life is like, this is all there is to life, just hardship and just pain? Well, I've been there, and I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like to live in that darkness, believing that this is what life is all about, believing that there's nothing more, believing that there's no way out. This is when that call to action, that wake-up call comes. You know, that you wonder, is there more to this life than what you've been living? You get sick of it. You finally get so sick of being mistreated, being abused, of being depressed and upset and in pain all the time, that you finally just go to yourself, how do I get out of this? How do I heal? The path to healing is not easy, but when I look back on my life, no matter how hard the healing was, no matter how painful it was to face my demons, it was more painful to live a life where I didn't see beyond pain or trauma, where I couldn't see out of that cloud, where I kept going around in those toxic patterns. You know, I made that choice. I made the choice to break free. I made the choice to rediscover myself. And you can too. My name is Angela Cleary. I'm a feminine empowerment coach, and I specialise in healing after narcissistic abuse. It takes a long time for us to finally see a pattern. We kind of get so used to attracting the same energy. We get so used to being in toxic relationships that it's the norm. It's like, that's all there is. That's normal. And if you don't have a toxic relationship, you kind of freak out and go, this isn't normal. This is not what I'm used to. But we live in this bubble, this cycle that keeps repeating over and over again. Like there is no way out. There is no more to life, because that's all we've known. Like for me personally, I grew up seeing anger and violence and toxicity from a very young age. I saw an awful lot. I witnessed an awful lot from a very young age that I shouldn't have witnessed. I was surrounded by low vibrational negative energy since I was a child. And because of my lack of self-worth or my view of the world, I continued to attract narcissistic friends, partners, bosses into my life. And it was continuous. And it wasn't even just that, I attracted narcissists into my life. It was like I had people in my life for years that seemed to turn narcissistic, or they were dormant narcissistic or something. And it just started to flare up around me as I grew. And I didn't see the pattern for years. I ended up in a nature narcissistic relationship with a verbally abusive alcoholic who was 17 years older than I was. Then shortly after that finally did break down, after a massive trauma, I ended up with a misogynist for a year and a half. And I was like, fuck this shit. I need to give myself a break. I need to stop dating for a while. I need to heal myself. And that's what I decided to do. And I still dated a little bit, but I wasn't ready to get into another relationship. So about a year and a half afterwards, I said, right, I'm healed. I'm ready to go. And what happened? I attracted another narcissist. And I was like, how the fuck does this happen when I've healed? This is the thing with healing. We think we've healed something, but healing actually happens in layers. When we first start to heal, and I only discovered this last year really, that we heal in layers, because, I've been healing myself for so many years and stuff keeps coming back up. It's like, I thought I healed this. I'm not dealing with this again. And then I get moody and I block it all down again and it'll come out in other ways. And I started to realize we actually heal in layers. We kind of avoid things. We avoid certain things in our lives. We avoid facing those traumas. And when we initially suffer a trauma, we tend to suppress it. We tend to distract. We tend to nurture ourselves through it. And that's okay. This is the first step of healing, to literally get your strength back, to build yourself back up again. And sometimes, like back in the day, I used to drink or take drugs or something just to numb. But now I'll watch comedies or, you know, cartoons or something when I'm going through healing, because that's, you know, bringing a bit of laughter in. This is how we distract. But when we get strong after that first session of healing, say, through distraction, we will actually, it'll come back up again for us to face and heal again, according to the strength that we have at that time. And it will keep coming up again and again and again in layers until we fully released it. And this is the path to healing. It's not like, you know, we believe, like, and this is the thing, I believed after a year and a half of getting myself back to myself that I was healed. But that was surface healing. That's the thing, we surface heal. We don't actually look at the reasoning behind what happened. We heal the thing that happened, but we don't heal the reason for that thing happening, the core wound. And this is when I discovered inner child healing, because I said to myself, right, I was actually doing research on narcissists because of my ex of 8 years. And I was, after meeting this guy, this was back in 2019, I started to see these similarities, these red flags. And it took me for 2 months to fucking actually listen to the red flags. They had to turn into sirens for me to listen. And I was like, oh my God, he's another narcissist. And I was like, oh my God, why am I attracting narcissists? And at the exact same time, I was pushed out of a supervisor role in a job I loved by a narcissistic boss. I was like, this is not a coincidence. There's a pattern here. I keep attracting narcissists in every area of my life. There has to be a reason. I thought I'd healed, but I'd only healed on the surface. This is when I discovered my inner child wounding and my core wounds that I needed to heal. And that's the thing, like, I didn't even understand inner child healing or core wounds until then. And when I started to do the research, I was like, whoa, man, this is mad. You know, we have traumas from childhood and traumas from past relationships that are stuck and buried deep within us. We only heal them on the surface and then we bury them deep. And this will lead to dis-ease within ourselves, this imbalance, where this pain and trauma will come out in unhealthy ways or lead us to addictions. And, like, you know, addictions doesn't even have to be substances or, you know, alcohol, drugs, or even food, binging food. Addictions can come in the form of binge watching television or excessive exercise or working too much, because this is avoidance. This is the distraction we're doing. We're avoiding healing. We think that, right, we're doing training or we're doing exercise, that we're being healthy, but it can become an addiction as a form of avoidance. Working too much, taking on those extra hours in work, even though you're paying the tax man most of it, you're doing this as a form of avoidance, avoiding your inner healing. Same with alcohol, drugs, food, binge watching television. Anything we do excessively can be over avoidance of what we need to face. And this is the importance of understanding, being aware. Because, like, when you don't understand that there's more to life than pain or narcissistic abuse, you're in this, you've got blinkers on. You see nothing but what's ahead of you, and all you see is trauma and pain and abuse. This is what you're used to. And you never really, it's hard to see anything beyond that. This is why, like, you know, it does take for an awful lot for us to wake the fuck up, like, and realize that we can't just bypass what's going on. The reason cycles keep repeating, the reason patterns occur, is because of something within us. It's not because the external world is full of toxic people. It's because we feel a toxicity within ourselves because of our own wounding, that's why we attract that kind of energy. And this is the wake up we need on the path to healing, because it's not just this inside us that needs to be healed. Because of the people we've attracted or the energy we have in our lives because of this pain and trauma, we have to cleanse not only from within, but around us as well. We have to start looking in our environment. We have to start letting people go, situations go, energies go. This all starts with facing the truth that there is a reason behind these patterns. There's a reason behind these repetitive cycles. There's a reason you keep attracting narcissistically abusive relationships. It's because of something within that needs to be healed. You know, and when I discovered inner child healing, the way I discovered it was like, my inner child lacked so much self-worth. I lacked so much self-worth because my mother left when I was very young, and I have this massive abandonment and rejection wound that I am continuously healing because it's an ongoing process. I don't think we're ever going to finish healing because it's always ongoing. There's always something to discover. And because of this wound, I unconsciously blamed myself for my mother leaving. So I unconsciously felt like I was not deserving of unconditional love. So I unconsciously felt that I was shit. So therefore I unconsciously attracted shit into my life because that's what I felt I was. And until I discovered this wounded inner child, I realized that my whole life was dictated by my wounding. Every mistake I made, every decision I made, every pain I felt, all stem back to my inner child, all stem back to my childhood trauma. And this is why I continued to attract trauma into my life. And this is why when we're in that energy as well, we're not aware. We're not aware this is something outside of that. We're not aware of how we're feeling. We're not aware of why we're feeling. And that's, to be honest with you, I'm aware now. I'm self-aware now. And I look back on when I wasn't aware, and it breaks my heart to have lived that unconsciously, to have lived in that darkness for so long. You know, to feel that that was all that there was to life. And it just to discover that I had the power within me to actually change that. Now, it's not easy, but it is definitely worth it. I look back, like, you know, the path to healing is hard. We go through a lot. When we're facing our demons, we go into this deep depression, this darkness, to purge all of that out of us. And it is fucking painful. But I ask myself this: would I go back to living that painful life? Would I repeat that? Would I allow that to happen again? What I mean is, no matter how dark my healing got, I would do that again if I had to, because I know it's worth it. But would I go back and relive my traumas? No. So no matter how hard we think the path to healing is, it is not half as painful as the life that we're living, that toxic life that we were living, that abusive life that we were living. We don't deserve to be treated like that. We don't deserve to feel unworthy because of wounding that we received as a child. We don't deserve to live a life full of pain and abuse. We do not deserve that. You do not deserve that. You know, and it's so difficult, especially when you're in the depths of abuse, to get out of it. You know, people ask the question, oh, you know, if I was in that situation, I'd get out. If you were in that situation, you'd understand how hard it is to get out. You know what I mean? We always need somebody to help us. I would never have left my 8-year narcissistic relationship if it wasn't for a massive trauma and therapy for that trauma, and that therapist showing me that I was living in a toxic world. You know what I mean? I would never have gotten out of that. I would have never seen that there was a way out without the help of somebody else. And that's why I became a coach, is because I want to help anyone that suffered like I have. I want to help you to see that light, to see that there's more to this life than abuse, to see that there's more to this life than toxic relationships. And I mean toxic relationships, friendships, work relationships. I mean all of it. You know what I mean? I literally had to clear out practically everyone in my life because of the toxic energy that was still there. And this is the thing, because I grew up in a world of low vibrational energy, of negativity. That was the world I was comfortable in. So I attracted people like that. And not all of them were narcissists, but a lot of them were low vibrational energy. So in that dark cloud, you know, in that cycle of life, that bubble. And I had to cleanse my life, not only of, you know, the wounding that caused for me to attract narcissistic relationships, but I had to literally cleanse my life of people and substances, energy, everything, so that I could live authentically, but live in peace and live in love. So this is why it is so important to seek that help on this journey of healing. It really is. To seek a coach, a mentor, or even a friend, just to have that support. Because a lot of the times when we're in abusive relationships or in that toxic energy, we're isolated from the world, we're isolated from people. The narcissist will isolate you so that you cannot get that support. So if you're stuck in that kind of environment, look for somebody. Look for someone you can talk to. Look for somebody who will help you to find that strength and courage to get out of that situation, because it is very, very hard to do it alone. And if you can find anyone at all, just help guide you out of it, help support you out of it, help you see that there's more to life than this toxicity, that there's more to life than pain. And when you start to rediscover yourself through this healing path, through this inner child healing path, you will discover the beauty that is in life, but the beauty that is within yourself. You'll learn to love yourself again, unconditionally. You'll learn to nurture, reparent, and love your inner child. And in doing so, the world becomes magical. The world becomes beautiful. And then when you live in that love, you attract that kind of love into your life in all areas, you know, and you see it every day. Even going to the shop and having a conversation with the person on the counter, that's beautiful. But when you're living in this dark, toxic energy, you don't even have that conversation with that person because your head is down and you don't want to talk to anyone. You know, life is short. And I lived an awful lot of my life in darkness, a lot of it. And I'm finally discovering that I didn't have to do that. Yes, it has been a long road to get me to where I am now. But my God, it was worth it. It was so worth it to break out of that cage, to break out of that conditioning, to break out of that avoidance, to break out of that lack of self-awareness. This was magical. And you can do that too. You really can. You can do anything you want. You just need to understand why these patterns keep occurring. You need to heal the reasoning behind these cycles happening. You need to start from within. Start with that self-love and self-nurturing of your inner child. And look for that support in a coach or a therapist or a friend. If you want help on your journey, reach out to me. And I would love nothing more than to guide you along, because I have been exactly where you are. And I know how hard it is to pull yourself out of that darkness, the deepest, darkest depths of hell. But you do not have to live in this abuse or toxicity anymore. You don't have to live that kind of life anymore. Your life will become magical and more beautiful once you start this path to healing, this path to self-discovery. So thank you so much for listening today, and I really hope this resonates. If it does, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel so I can reach as many people as possible. And if you would like help on your journey, please book me for a discovery call today, and I would love nothing more than to help you out on your path.